Hi there, I'm Jamel Brown. Welcome to Brain Support 101. I'm so grateful for each person who's taken the time and opportunity to be here and to learn tonight with me about how we can offer more support to our brains. A little bit about me and my family. I'm a mom of 3 boys. I'm a military wife, and our youngest son was born 11 years ago, almost 12 years ago. And when he was 8 months old, he was diagnosed with having had a stroke. And doctors don't really know when the stroke occurred. They don't know if it occurred before he was born or upon delivery. They are unsure. But it was such a big stroke that we were told by doctors that his chances of walking and talking would be very limited and probably wouldn't happen. And we were devastated when we heard this because we wanted so much for our little boy to be able to do all of the things that normal little boys can do. And we wanted the experience to be able to parent him the way that we had been able to parent our other 2 boys. And so for a while, this took a long time for us to be able to see past it being a horrible thing and be able to see it as something that was a learning opportunity and an opportunity for growth as a family, and how this could help us be able to learn new things that we had never thought we were going to need to learn. So a couple weeks after he was diagnosed with having had a stroke, he was diagnosed with severe epilepsy. And anyone watching this may have an idea of what this is like as a parent, to know that something is wrong with your child, but you have no idea how to help them. And one of the biggest struggles that we had was not knowing what we could do to help him. And his epilepsy, as you can see on the screen, is so intense that doctors didn't quite know what to do. So they started giving us medications to help him. And when one medication didn't help him, they would add a second one. And when a second one didn't help, they would add a third one. And he was on so many medications as a baby that we were so worried because of all the side effects. And instead of his seizures actually getting worse, they were actually getting, or instead of the seizures actually getting better, they were actually getting worse. And so this really took a toll on our family. And about the time that he was 16 weeks old, he was having hundreds of seizures a day. And this was very difficult on me personally. My husband at the time was deployed to Afghanistan, and I was searching and praying with everything in my being for answers to be able to know how to help him. And finally, one day when I was visiting family, my grandmother was determined to be able to help me. And she's like, I know this lady that can help you. And so she took us to a lady that could teach us a little bit about the oil and how we could help our son. And this was the beginning of our journey. Our journey has been a very long process. It's been 11 years in the making. So I won't keep you just sharing my story, but it has been amazing what we've been able to see and experience because we've accepted this journey. We've accepted the ability for us to be able to learn new things and to grow in different ways, to be able to help our son who in abnormal ways that aren't the common things for doctors and for people in the area. And 10 years ago when we started, essential oils were not the cool thing. They weren't hip. They were actually kind of weird, and people looked at us like we were crazy. But we didn't care because we were getting results. We were getting results that his brain was getting the support that it needed. And so it's been incredible to see such a difference in him. So the first diagnosis was that he would never walk or talk or be able to do things that little boys can do. And this is our son today. He is 11, almost 12, like I said earlier, and he is able to walk and talk. And I'm going to show you this short little video that shares with you a little bit of who he is. Okay, so this is my son Rylan, and he is incredible. As you can see, he can walk and talk, and he can shoot a bow and arrow with his teeth. He still has limited use of his right hand and arm, but we work on that daily through different modalities that go along with using the essential oils. And he, along with our other two boys, has become the biggest blessings in our lives for learning and for growth and for overcoming trials and heartaches. And as you watch this, I hope that we can instill in you some hope and a desire to learn more and to overcome the struggles that you are facing, because it doesn't have to be a struggle. Just change your perspective a little bit and allow it to become your journey, because that's what it is. And it's incredible the difference that that perspective can make with the outcome of what you're trying to create. So for people who have epilepsy, there are different triggers. And this is so important. When we first had our son and started looking at his epilepsy, we had no idea. Doctors didn't really teach us that there were different triggers. We thought that he would have just one type of seizure and that it would stick with that, and that it would be so easy because once we learned that one type, then we would be good. Everything would be golden. And little did we know that there are triggers that trigger different types of seizures. So lack of sleep, low blood sugar, high amounts of stress, temperature, body temperature, if your temperature spikes at all, high or low, it can make a big difference for your brain. Flashing lights, improper nutrient intake. A lot of people don't realize that our gut is our second brain. And if we have poor nutritional health, it really makes a difference on our brain and how our brain functions. And then any sickness of any kind, so common colds, flus, anything respiratory, any type of sickness, it takes a toll on your body and it lowers the person's threshold. And every individual has their own threshold of what their personal body is able to withstand. And for someone who has seizures, their threshold is not as high as someone who doesn't, because once the brain activity starts going and those neurons start hitting into one another, then as it gets excited, then we see more seizure activity. So as you work with people, or if you're an individual who has a family member who experiences epilepsy or has a seizure protocol, looking at these different things that could trigger the seizures and the seizure activity is very important, because looking at these different things, you can eliminate a lot of things, or try to eliminate as much as possible to help give them optimal support so that their brains are more calm, so that there's less chances for seizure activity. So we're going to start with the basics. And the first thing that's so important is brain food and nutrition. And doTERRA has an amazing vitamin pack. And if you have young children, I suggest using the children's vitamins and the children's probiotics. However, if they're a little bit older, like my son, we took our vitamins to our neurologist, and I got permission from the neurologist to be able to give him the adult lifelong vitality pack, because the he was growing at such a quick pace that the children's vitamins were just not enough for him. So switching him over to the Lifelong Vitality Pack was a huge difference for him, a difference for his brain, a difference for his body, his energy levels, his sleep, everything. It made such a big difference. So always consult your physicians whenever you're making these decisions. But starting at the basis and building a strong foundation begins with what we take into our body, making sure that you're eating good food, lots of fruits and vegetables, less meats, less grains, less dairy. Fruits and vegetables are what is going to help give nutrients to our brain. Now, I'm not saying that you have to cut those other things out, but you want to minimize them as much as possible to offer your brain the optimal support it needs. Give it what it needs. Feed it good food. Fruit is the best source of glucose. There's a lot of people who switch over and do a ketogenic diet where they're doing high fats. Well, when you do high fats, you're cutting out the sugars. And I will tell you firsthand, we experienced what this does for our son because low sugar was a big thing for him and it's one of his triggers. But it's also, if you're not giving your brain the glucose that it needs, the brain isn't able to function, and so your threshold gets lowered, and it makes it so that you're not able to function properly, and it can cause more seizures. So be very vigilant and very careful that you are providing good nutritional food for your body, and fruits are the best source of glucose. You don't want to give processed foods that are high in sugar because that does something else to the brain that makes it difficult for them to concentrate and focus, brings out behavior issues. You want to be able to give them high quality fruits that are organic if possible, because if they're not organic, then they've got the pesticides and herbicides and all kinds of different things on the fruit that then goes into the body, and then those get trapped in the body and cause other problems. So you want to make sure that you're giving good nutritional food, lots of fruits and veggies to help with glucose levels, and then the doTERRA Lifelong Vitality Pack. So I get asked a lot how essential oils work and why they're so effective. And I will tell you this right now, I only use doTERRA essential oils. And the reason for that is because of their quality, their purity, and their potency. When I first started using essential oils, I began using oils with other companies because I didn't know about doTERRA. And I went to Montana and learned reflex points, learned about oils, paid lots of money to learn about oils, and then we didn't get the results that we wanted. So I was very discouraged. So when I teach people about essential oils, I am teaching strictly about doTERRA because of their quality, their purity, and their potency. You want to make sure that when you're spending money on these products, that you're getting the optimal oils that are going to be able to give optimal results. Whose ever brain you're trying to support, whether it's yourself or a loved one, you want the results to be good. You want it to be effective, and you want to know that you didn't waste that money. I wasted a lot of money. So please learn from my mistakes and only use doTERRA because you will get better results with them. And you won't have any of the side effects that you could have with the other oils that aren't pure. So essential oils are so effective because of the quality, purity, and potency, but they're also effective because of what they're made of. There are many different molecules, give them a therapeutic value and a different aroma. And each oil is created differently, and each oil has a different task, a different job to do. So when you use the oils, you want to make sure that you're using ones that are calming for the brain. Because if you use oils that are exciting and they kind of have the excitatory properties, then it can actually bring too much excitement to the brain and cause some problems. So when you're using essential oils for the brain, specifically for brain support, you want to make sure that you're using calming oils that are going to help bring kind of structure and kind of help the neurons and the cells all kind of come to order. And that's kind of what the oils do when you apply them. It kind of brings all of the brain cells to order, and it kind of teaches your brain cells how to act and what to do and how they need to interact with your brain and your body for your brain and your body to get their optimal use and health. So it's important to have the best stuff and to be able to have the knowledge of which oils are going to be the most effective. So when you're looking at oils, you want oils that contain monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. And until a couple days ago, I knew this was important, but I didn't understand exactly why it was important. And I learned from doTERRA actually a couple days ago the importance of monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. And it's so cool to know that essential oils that have monoterpenes are smaller. They don't weigh as much, they're not as dense, so they're able to penetrate the cell walls easier, to be able to get in between that interstitial fluid and all of the fluid in our bodies and in our blood and everything to make a bigger impact. Because we want that optimal support for our bodies, we want that support for each one of our cells. It also means that they're able to react quickly to air and heat. Excuse me one second. Let me grab a drink. So sesquiterpenes, they're a little bit heavier. Those are your thicker oils. The molecules are larger in size, and that makes them less volatile, making it so that they don't evaporate as quickly. And it makes it so that as you put it on the body, it doesn't flask off and evaporate as quickly as what the monoterpenes do. As we use the fractionated coconut oil that doTERRA offers, this allows for even the monoterpene oils to become a little bit thicker so that they won't flask off and evaporate as quickly. So we want to make sure that the oils that we're using have both monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. And not every oil will have both, but to offer optimal support for the brain, you want to be able to have both types of oils in your toolbox to be able to use daily. Because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to give optimal support to your brain. So the nice thing about sesquiterpenes is their superpower is their unique shapes. I love the fact that they can connect to the proteins that are in our bodies and activate the receptors on the surface of the cells. This is huge for the brain, to be able to interact and be able to basically talk with the receptor sites that are on our cells in our brains helps them be able to calm down quicker. That's amazing, because when you have the ability to apply an oil and that oil has calming properties and you're able to apply it to the back of the head or the neck or the bottom of the feet, and it is able to help offer your body the calming properties that it contains, then, and if it's got a lot of sesquiterpenes, it's going to be able to talk directly with your cells, the proteins that are attached to the outer parts of those cells, and be able to get those receptor sites that are on the cells to be able to instantly calm. And when you have someone who is going through a seizure, or if they have seizure activity happening in their brain, like my son, he has it all day long. And it's just a matter of whether or not it breaks through the surface to where we can see it. And we don't always see the seizures right? Sometimes they're underlying and they're happening in his brain, but we don't know that they're happening. So we want to make sure that we're using calming oils in the morning and at night for him to have optimal support. So this makes a huge difference. You have to be very committed and be willing to utilize these oils twice a day to make it so that you have optimal support for your brain. Now, some people might say, well, which is better? Does it matter if it's monoterpenes or if it's sesquiterpenes? Which is better? How do I know if I'm getting the best oil? Or which oil should I start with? I get asked that a lot. And a lot of people will try out frankincense, but then they don't really see, they might see some results, but I found that there's a combination of oils that you can use that are really beneficial for all types of epilepsy and seizure activity. And as you utilize these oils, it doesn't cure epilepsy. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It doesn't cure it. There is no cure for epilepsy. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm giving a false claim, because that's just not going to happen. But I will tell you this, it gives optimal support to the brain. And that is so important, because with optimal support to the brain, it opens up the windows for so many more opportunities that you didn't have before because you weren't giving your brain everything it needs. So having both and using more than one oil is going to be very beneficial for you and for the person that you're trying to bless. So like frankincense has a variety. It has both monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes, but still having more than one oil, even though it has both, can make a bigger impact. Think of it this way. It's like every cell has a job in your brain, right? And when you use oils, each oil has a job. And each job for those cells in your brain is different. So it's going to react differently with different oils. So when your cells have a job, say your cells in the front of your head have one job, cells on the sides of your head have another job, cells in the back of your head have another job, which they do. Every cell in your brain does a different job, whether it's learning or growing or remembering something short term, remembering something long term, our emotions, everything is held in our brains. So when you use more than one oil to impact your brain, you're going to get better results, because each oil has the ability to impact the brain in a different way, because each oil does a different job too. So it still has the ability to calm the brain and the brain cells, but you want to be able to impact more cells. So utilizing more than one type of essential oil is going to be more beneficial. So essential oils that I recommend often for supporting the brain are frankincense, DDR prime, spikenard, cedarwood, sandalwood, vetiver, myrrh, and rose. And these oils are like my powerhouse for essential oils for supporting the brain. And I get asked all the time, well, which ones would you start with? And if you can only afford a few, it just really, you have to really kind of think about it, pray about it, and decide what's going to be best for your family. But if you can afford all of them, and if you are dealing with epilepsy or brain trauma of any kind, these oils are incredible for offering the brain support. They are amazing. So I get asked, well, if I buy these oils, how do I use them? On our Facebook group, I posted the Symphony of the Cells training by Boyd Truman. And he is going to give just a brief demonstration of the Symphony of the Cells. and it's a free demonstration. And Boyd doesn't do free demonstrations very often, and I'm pretty sure he's doing this because leadership was canceled and there was going to be a Symphony of the Cells course right before leadership. And he wants people to learn how to use the Symphony of the Cells, and so that they can start utilizing the program and then be able to come to a Symphony of the Cells class with him later. And that's so important because Boyd is amazing. He knows so much and he is such a wonderful man to learn from. So if you can log on, sign up for his Symphony of the Cells application course that's free. He's just going to teach the basic course. He's not going to teach the neurological one. But in all honesty, I just gave you the neurological protocol. I might add a few oils to that. If you send me a private message, I can send you a better one, or add a few more oils with that. But he's going to go over a basic one, and the importance of that is learning the technique, because when you apply these oils topically, it's a really good idea to put them both on the feet and on the spine, all the way up the head to the occiput. And that's the occipital bone that's at the back of your head. And being able to apply the oils in this way helps you to be able to get a full application. But we found, especially with epilepsy, because our son's case is pretty crazy, right? We found that doing a Symphony of the Cells protocol on him every day was necessary. When we first started, we did it every other day. And the day that he didn't get the Symphony of the Cells the previous night, it was awful. Absolutely awful. And the days that he got the Symphony of the Cells the night before, he was so happy and he was in a good mood and he was so loving and caring. And it made the biggest difference in his attitudes and his behaviors. And so I found that doing the Symphony of the Cells protocol on him daily, every night, was so important for his brain and his body, and for me, for his behaviors. Because when you don't feel good, you kind of, especially when you're little, you can take that out on everyone around you or on everything around you. And so to give him more support for his brain, we found that we needed to do it every single night. Depending on the age of your kiddos, or if it's an adult, you can also use these oils in a veggie cup, and you can take them internally, or you can combine them for in the morning for being able to put them in a roller bottle for easier application. In the mornings, we do a roller bottle and we combine them all. It's called Ryland's Blend, and we put them on beside his ears here in the front and on the backs of his neck. And it makes it so that it's easier application in the morning, and it helps give him support all day long. Excuse me. But then giving him the actual Symphony of the Cells at night helps him to be able to get into a good place before he sleeps. Most of his seizures happen at night. So when we can help his body through the Symphony of the Cells program completely relax to allow him optimal sleep, it helps him be able to get better sleep, so that as he changes REM cycles as he sleeps, then he's less likely to have seizure activity. So, or his threshold is a little bit higher because his body and his brain have more support. Whichever one it is, it's working. And it's been incredible for us to be able to see the results with him. So, Symphony of the Cells application every day. If you don't know what this is, I will do a demonstration on the Facebook Live or on Zoom probably in a week or two, so that you can learn that. But if you have the chance to learn from Boyd, it's his program and he's incredible to learn from. And then make sure that you, as you become committed to what you are doing, that you are consistent. Consistency is a big key. if you are not consistent and you apply oils just every once in a while, you're not going to see the results that you really want to see. You have to be consistent and you have to do it every day. And I found that he needs it twice a day, and it makes the biggest difference in the world to him. The other day, I forgot to apply his oils to his feet and the back of his neck in the morning because school's out, right? For all of the craziness that's going on in the world today. And later that evening, he started getting a really bad headache. And I realized that I hadn't given him his oils that morning like I normally do. And it made a difference in his day. He was ornery, he had a migraine, he wasn't feeling well. And so as I gave him oils that night, I also did some cranial sacrotherapy with him. And it helped make it so that the pressure that was happening in his head and in his brain was able to be a lot calmer. The headache went away quickly, and he was able to relax to where I was then able to relax, because as a parent and you're watching your kids struggle through these seizure episodes, you feel very helpless and it's hard to know exactly what to do. So it's nice that we have these tools to be able to help our kiddos and any of our loved ones that are in our lives. So I get asked a lot which oils to stay away from. And I'm just going to tell you right now, every person's body is different. Every person reacts differently to the oils. When I first began using oils, I was told to stay away from rosemary. Rosemary was a big one that everybody said, don't use that, it'll cause more seizures. But I learned that rosemary is really good for transitions and really good for being able to learn, and it helps with memory. And those are things that my son struggled with. And so one day I decided I was going to try it on him to see how he would do, because I wanted to know for myself if how his body was going to react to this oil, because everybody's body is different. So as I used rosemary on him, he actually did better in school, did better with learning, had less seizure activity. And when I stopped using rosemary for a time, his seizure activity actually increased. He was more irritable at school. He was having more struggles, having more behavior problems. So I will tell you this. Some people say rosemary is not good for people who have epilepsy, but my son's brain loves rosemary and it does incredible things for him. So as you use the oils, start off slow. Start with one oil and then a second oil. See how their brains react if you're worried about reactions. But I promise you, as you start to utilize the oils, you're going to start to see amazing differences in your loved ones. And don't be afraid to use oils. Don't be afraid to use what you have and be able to learn more about how they're impacting your loved ones' lives, because you don't know until you try how it's going to help and how their body is going to react. Make sure that you're using fractionated coconut oil with your applications, because it helps their bodies be able to kind of absorb it at a slower rate, and it helps them be able to have more benefit from it for a longer period of time because it's kind of absorbing slower. So it makes it so that you'll have less skin sensitivities as well. Other oils to help with triggers are let's start that over. Other oils that can help with triggers, because this is a big thing. We want to look at ways to be able to support the whole body. So I just gave you a whole list on what will help with the brain, but you also want to look at what's going to help with the different triggers so that it will have full body or overall health. So stress and anxiousness, adaptive is incredible for being able to do this, and it comes in a pill as well as in an essential oil. And it's amazing what this product can do. I love it. Balance, serenity, cheer, and forgive. So these are all oils, and lavender. I don't have lavender on there, but lavender is really good for helping with this as well. Lavender is in serenity. So for some people, lavender is plenty, but for others, they might need a little bit stronger. So we give them Serenity. And there are days where my son needs both because he needs the other oils that are in the blend of the Serenity as well as the lavender. So for sleep, better sleep. Sleep is hard to come by sometimes, especially if our minds don't shut down and they don't ever become quiet. So for someone who has a lot of activity going on in their brain, Serenity essential oil, lavender essential oil, and Serenity soft gels are incredible for being able to help with sleep. Some of the other oils that are listed on the brain support are also very calming to help with sleep, like vetiver and sandalwood and cedarwood. Those are also really good to help with sleep. But to start out with, sometimes just having the Serenity oil or the Serenity soft gels is enough. Temperature regulation is peppermint. Being able to help regulate the body temperature is a big thing. Now, I will tell you, peppermint is not one that I use on my son a whole lot because it's one that can also be an excitatory oil. But if he needs temperature regulation, I will use it with him, and his body responds really well. But I try to limit the exposure to this oil because I want to be able to give him optimal support all the time. Low blood sugar. Make sure that you're eating plenty of fruits and veggies. Make sure that you are eating really good food and then utilizing the doTERRA Lifelong Vitality products. Their vitamins are amazing. So don't miss out on using those. Their Lifelong Vitality has 21 fruits and vegetables in it. So if you're eating more fruits and veggies and then you take the vitamins, you're going to help in so many ways with your brain and with your body. And then immune support. Tea tree, on guard, oregano, thyme, and lemon. These are all things that are going to be able to help you boost your immune system to be able to feel more confident in your health and be able to not have so much stress in your life because your immune system is going to feel stronger. You're going to feel stronger. And then I would also add yoga. Add yoga because it helps with so many different things. It increases breathing, increases flexibility, increases your body's immune support and immune system. Yoga is good for so many things. And so if you have the chance and the opportunity, I would add yoga. So other brain support products, doTERRA's PB Assist probiotic. I mentioned at the beginning that our gut is our second brain, and being able to give more support to both brains is very important. So probiotics are super important, and doTERRA's are double wrapped, so they actually make it through your stomach acids into your intestines where your flora is to make it so that your body is getting the benefit of the probiotic. Other probiotics on the market don't make it through your stomach acids and they get burned up in your stomach acids, so you're not really getting the support that you need. Tri-Ease is very beneficial for seasonal threats. It helps you be able to overcome those seasonal threats that you face daily with something that's, going to help clear it with very minimal side effects. And I love Tri-Ease. It's incredible. Cheer, patchouli, Intune, lemongrass, wild orange, aroma touch, citrus bliss, rosemary, basil, cypress. These are all oils that are going to help give more support to your brain, better circulation in your body, help you be happier, help you have more energy, because you want to raise your energy levels without making your brain excited. And it's incredible because cheer can help raise your energy and help you be happier without giving too much excitement and energy to your brain, because it can also be very calming to be happy and to be cheerful. So Citrus Bliss is also known as their invigorating blend, and it's really, really good. They're invigorating blend, right? So it gives you energy, but it also is very calming. So these are all oils that are beneficial to the brain, to the body, to your emotions. And then cilantro and black pepper are really good for heavy metal detoxing. And this is really important because a lot of times we have heavy metals in our bodies or herbicides and pesticides in our bodies that our bodies store in our liver, and it has no way to be able to get rid of them. And so as we use the cilantro and the black pepper, they can help to detox our body from these heavy metals and herbicides and pesticides that are being stored in our liver. Because over time, if our liver is full of those things, then it starts to shut down, and then it affects our central nervous system. And it can cause a lot of problems in the body. And so you want to be able to give optimal health to your full body, your emotions, your physical body, your brain, your gut, every area of your body. And I know doTERRA has a lot more amazing products, but these are really good, kind of a basis for being able to start with overall body health. So if you have any questions, make sure that you put them below or send me a private message and I can answer them the best way that I can. I also offer coaching. I'm a life coach and I specialize in epilepsy. And if you would like to schedule an appointment with me to be able to get more of your questions specifically answered, let me know and we can set up a time for a life coaching session. So I want to thank everybody who has watched this clear to the end. And I hope and pray that this is beneficial to you and to your family, to your loved ones, and that you're able to utilize this information. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for all that you do. Bye.